Hello everyone, welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more exciting true crime content. Today we look at a cowboy contract killer who bungled a string of Gangland hits after he offered himself up as a cut-price gun for hire. Jobless Simeon Henderson, aged 27, agreed to take as little as £3,000 a time from mobsters to shoot their enemies after bartering with them on deals. But he failed to smoke one man as ordered by his paymasters, and on another missed his victim altogether, and as a result was ordered to carry out a third shooting for free. Yet when told to merely scare a shopkeeper involved in a gang feud, Henderson misfired his 1950s Czechoslovakian machine gun and accidentally sprayed bullets all over a store with deadly consequences. Nasar Hussain, an innocent shop assistant working behind the counter, was hit 5 times in the chest and body. He slumped to the floor and died from his wounds whilst the real target escaped unharmed. Afterwards, panicking, Henderson, who had been communicating by walkie-talkie, ran out to his getaway car and said to the driver, "I think I've killed a man." He later claimed he only had become a hitman because he struggled to get a job, and whilst awaiting trial for murder, demanded £1 million to stay silent about who hired him. At Manchester Crown Court, Henderson from Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, admitted murder and will be sentenced later. He agreed to turn supergrass and testify against his paymasters at a 2-month trial held amid tight security. The jury was told how the father of one, Mr Henderson, had set himself up as a hitman in Greater Manchester when he failed to get a job after completing a series of jail terms for robbery and theft. His previous crimes had included robbing a post office so he could get money to support his child and stealing £40,000 of drugs money. He was also paid £2,000 a time as a drugs carrier for mobsters in London and served a 4-year jail term for robbing a bookmaker's. His new career as a contract killer began in 2008. He was enlisted by car hire bosses Hafiz Mohammed, 43, and Gofan Gogo Khan, 44, and Mohammed Sadfar at 42, who were involved in a turf feud between gangs from Oldham and Bolton. In November of that year, he was hired to go and shoot dead the guarantor for a man who owned a loan shark £30,000. Henderson initially refused to kill the victim, but he said he would take £7,000 to shoot at his legs. But when he burst in on the victim as he worked at a rival car hire firm in Oldham, he fired through a serving hatch and missed him completely. As a result, Mr Henderson was given a reduced £1,000 fee for failing to shoot the victim when Hafiz said, "You're not going to get the rest until it's a confirmed hit." In the second incident in March 2009, Mr Henderson was recruited by Mr Hafiz to kill a man whose brother had branded him an old-timer. Mr Hafiz told Mr Henderson, "I want the kid smoked," but Henderson shot the target in the buttock and he survived. The bungled killing occurred in July last year when Mr Safdar said he was having trouble with a rival gang in Bolton, and Mr Henderson was asked to go into a shop and fire some bullets to scare them. Mr Henderson had been given an extra £2,000 by mistake for the first bungled hit and was ordered by Mr Hafiz to carry out the next shooting for free. He was provided with a machine gun and told by Mr Safdar if it's an old guy behind the counter that he was to shoot the shop, but if it was a young guy he was to shoot him in the legs. Hooded, Mr Henderson burst into the Brookhouse Wines in Eccles, Greater Manchester with the gun hidden inside a bag, but as he squeezed the trigger it failed to go off. As staff stood behind the counter in stunned silence, Mr Henderson squeezed again, causing the weapon to suddenly fire out of control, spraying bullets over the store. CCTV showed victim Nasar Hussain, 30, writhing around the floor and bleeding as the intended victim, Asif Khan, cowered behind the counter. Mr Hussain, who 6 months earlier had moved to Salford from a small village in native Pakistan, died in hospital a short time later. Mr Henderson later gave evidence against his paymaster, saying of Gofan, "He asked me to do the job. Gogo wanted it doing and he wanted me to do it. There was no way I could make a living. They knew I was vulnerable, so they said, 'You do that.' They gave me a machine gun knowing that it would go out of control. The police were phoned before I got there to tell them I was at the shop. They set me up. Mr Nasar wasn't the intended victim." Of Mr Hasif, he said, "I'm doing this because he's put me in a situation and left me out to dry, and I'm looking out for myself now. I've got no loyalty to that guy." Mohammed Hafiz, 43 of Cheetham Hill, Manchester, and Arfan Rafiq, 25 of Oldham, were found guilty of murder following 41.5 hours of deliberation by a jury at Manchester Crown Court. Ryan Manning, 22 of Higher Ince, was found guilty of manslaughter. Bolton taxi driver Akmal Al-Fazlal, 25, who helped them, was found guilty of assisting an offender and possessing a firearm. Detective Chief Superintendent Mary Doyle from Greater Manchester Police's Major Incident Team said that the actions of these men were beyond comprehension. This was a planned act of extreme violence against a man who was completely innocent with no connections to any of the killers. It's taken officers 18 months of painstaking work to unravel the complexities of the conspiracy, and it has taken a combination of forensic work, phone records, and using the evidence of witnesses that we have had to protect. I hope it demonstrates that we will work tirelessly to ensure justice is done for the victim of such horrible crimes, and take dangerous criminals off the streets. What do you think about the bargain hitman's story? And do you believe he did this just because he couldn't find work?
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and a share, and leave any thoughts or suggestions you have in the comments section. We love to read through them all. And if you're new but enjoy UK true crime content, then subscribe to see when our newest video releases. And as always, stay safe.